Welcome back to the garage here at Basin Motorsports. I'm Canaan. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the inner waste molding, or the dew wipe, or whatever you want to call it, the rubber molding that wipes the glass on the inside, top of the door panel on your Foxbody Mustang. Now, whether you're working on an early 4i, the 79 to 86, or the Aero models, which is the 87 to 93s, this process is going to be the same depending on the door panels. In order to get these door panels off to be able to work with them, we need to take off the handle discussion, which is here. Now this is one Phillips screwdriver. We need to take off the handle here, which is two 10mm socket bolts underneath, and then a screw in the top for the early models, and a similar on the Aero models, the later. And then we need to take off our handle crank for the window, which is either a Phillips screw or a Torx screw, depending on what you have in here. Now if you have a power window switch, obviously you're going to take that out, which will be here. Since this is manual, we'll take the crank off. Now once you have those pieces out, we do have clips all along the border, all the way around the panel. So you use a panel popper to kind of go in between the panel and the sheet metal, pop each of those clips out, and when everything is loose, you're going to then pull it up, kind of push it in towards the glass, pull it up, and go over the lock here, and then just take it off, and we're going to work from the back side. Now of course, over time, these seals tend to harden, they crack because they get sun-dried, and they tend to break. So in order to get these off, we need to flip the panel over, and you'll notice down in the channel down here, there are going to be staples. Now this is going to be the same between the 7986 and the 87 93. They will be held on with staples, front to back, probably 5 or 6 along the edge down in here. Now we need to get these staples out, so we're going to get a small, thin, flat blade screwdriver, and we're going to go on the back side down here, and we're going to pry out the tongs that hold it down. So the end of the staples, they're kind of curled in there. We're going to take our screwdriver down it and pop those loose, because I want to take the staples out each place in order to get this seal off. All right, so once you have your seal off, you're going to have your staples left over, and hopefully they don't break. These are going to be good to reuse, even though they're kind of bent. You're going to go ahead and be able to fix them. So if you have them, they have not broken where you're taking them apart, just go ahead and set them aside for the moment. And then you can look at the back side of your panel. So obviously taking the seal off, you can see that there are staple marks in here. Now I went and cleaned this surface, just some glass cleaner very simply, all the way across, so that I have a good clean surface for my new seal to go on. So the new seals you buy, you can notice there are not going to be any marks in there for staples, rivets, or anything else. So at this point, you have to decide how you want to reattach this. Now, if you have all your staples that I just showed you, you can reuse those, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Otherwise, because this surface down in here where they actually sit does not contact the glass, you have some options. You can drill some holes through this and your panel to put rivets in, or you can just do what I'm going to do with the staples, reuse those. That way it is still factory correct, and you wouldn't notice they've been changed. Now one thing I'll note is that there is a little tab here on the surface of the seal, and on the back of the panel you'll also notice there's going to be a cutout. So that indentation is going to go with the seal, and that's how it's located front to back. Now before you start attaching your new seal in, you know the tab is going to line up on the back, and your top edge here should sit down on the panel. So when you line it up on the back with the tab, and I line it up on the top, you'll notice everything is going to sit pretty flush. Now at the front, I also have a gap a little bit here, which I had that on the factory panel. This is pretty similar, and while I'm attaching it down, I can actually hold it down a little bit to tighten this gap between the pieces. But if there's a little bit of gap and it matches what it was from the factory, well, you know you're as good as Ford released. If you can make it even better, well, that's better. Do what you can to make sure it sits down flush. Otherwise, make sure the function is there as well as the fit. All right, so I've taken just a minute to re-straighten the staples. Now you notice they are not perfect, but that's okay. We're going to tailor each setup or each hole to the staple itself so we can make these all match. But they are pretty close. You can make them into a C, a U, a D, whatever you feel like. But there are 6 total, and these are what I'm going to use to reattach the new seal back to the original panel. In order to make the holes, I have grabbed the smallest drill bit I had here in the garage. I'm not even sure what size it is, but it is the smallest thing I could find. It actually matches very close to the staples, and this is what I'm going to use to drill. Now I usually like to start from the center so I can align my tab up on my seal to the tab in the door and notice where my staples are. So I've got a staple there, so I can approximately put a staple back in the right place. So once you have the seal aligned up on the back, you know just by kind of looking, oh, there should be a staple somewhere in here. So I'm going to drill one pilot hole with my drill. I'll put a staple in on one side, figure out where the other one goes, drill that hole, and then put the other leg of the staple in, and then I'm going to push it all the way down in. First leg of the staple tells me where to put the other one. Okay, first staple is in. That was the one closest to the center there. If I rotate it over, you kind of see the back. It's hard to see down behind that lip, but the staple is bent over. Now in order to get that, I have a set of channel locks that have a curved tip that can go down on a push on the front and then clamp on the back. So it clamps each leg separately, and then I go over on both just to make sure that it's secured down. But it is tight, and now the seal, at least in one spot, is secure. So now I just need to do all of the others. And just remember, take care to make sure it sits down flat on this upper surface and is rolled down under, and then get each one done and back to the same place. Use your finger on the back side. Now that you can't see this edge, you can use your finger to feel where those holes were in the metal. That way you know exactly, well, staple should go about there, and then back over here, etc. That way you can get all 6 done. Okay, so once you have all your staples in, you should be able to see a nice clean edge right all the way at the front. And again, at the front, you might have a little bit of gap as it upturns there, but that matches what Ford did, so no problem there. Now at this point, with the panel in good shape, you can now decide if you need to change anything. It's a great time since it's off the car. As you can see, I have the map pocket off. I'll just show you that one there. Woo, it was in tough shape. So it's got prongs on the back side that go through the holes in the carpet, and then you just put them through and basically bend them over, and that holds to the panel. All of this material can be put back on, and then you just need to clean the panel before you put it back on the car. All right, so from that point, once the panel is put back together, you have new clips on if you need them, you have a new map pocket if you need it, at least on driver or passenger side, whichever side it is. The installation is going to be just the reversal of how you removed it. So slip it over the top edge, make sure your lock is through as you need to, slip it over the handle, pop all your clips in, your plastic clips, then put your door handle on. 2 fasteners here with a 10mm, and then a Phillips head screw up here, and then you're done. Now if you have power windows, obviously you put the power window connector in, otherwise put on your manual window crank there, and everything else is done. Now these will press well against here and prevent it from jiggling as long as you have your seal up here. And if not, you can replace those too. It's a great time to do any of this door work all in one shot and then give everything a good cleaning. So if you have any questions on how to install these, and if you want to install new staples or rivets or anything else rather than reuse the staples if they're in good shape, that is your prerogative. I just chose to do it, keeps it factory, and that way a new owner of this vehicle, when I'm done with it, will be able to look at that and say, that's been replaced, but yet it still uses the factory pieces. So again, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, like, share it out, and we'll see you next time.